Hey, what's up my three friends who watch my videos? Today I am going to be doing Scott's Crested Gecko care, and this one's going to be a little bit more in depth since he is a rescue and I had to put extra effort and do special things for him that you wouldn't have to do for a normal Crested Gecko. I'm going to start out with the size of the enclosure. I'm using the small paludarium, which is 12 by 12 by 24. Recommended Crested Gecko sizes are 18 by 18 by 24, but since he was kept in a 10-gallon all his life and he was still recovering his sticky little feet, I made him something a little bit smaller and more manageable. I will be probably upgrading him in the future and using this for maybe something a bit smaller, or just maybe even a quarantine tank. I don't know yet. So those are the dimensions of his enclosure. He has 5 fake plants in here, a coconut hide I got from a bird store, a large log that's more so for medium-sized snakes. I got it secondhand off of Let Go, and I sanitized it by baking it, put it in here, some cork bark. It's not really a cork flat, it's slightly curved, and it irritates me so much that it's slightly curved. It's not a cork flat. It's just a cork strip. And a little bamboo hide, which he is unfortunately not. Oh, hi! Oh my god! That is the first time he has willingly ever gotten onto my arm. Scott, you just snaps head around at mention of name. So this is him. He is doing a lot better since I last got him. Oh god, he is so well endowed. Look at those balls. But, I got him at around 24 grams, and he's now up to 32 grams. So he is finally becoming the little chunk that he needs to be. Oh god, just look at how pretty he is. Oh, he did a blep for you. Look at that beautiful blep. I can't tell if it's in focus or not. Oh well. He eats the rapashi, which I got a third flavor of, and I got him crickets the other day, and he went absolutely insane for them. Like, I literally heard at 1:30 in the morning him slam into the glass because he was chasing after one, and I'm like, dear Jesus. And he really, really loves it. I do have a small heat coming down at the bottom for him since it's slightly cold in my room. His tank is sitting at a comfortable 79 degrees right now. God, if it was 89, you'd be dead. I'm going to be moving soon, so I'm going to be getting a space heater instead, just because I feel like that'll be much more efficient in the long run. He has his little water dish right here, and then his little mushroom ledge, which has his food in it. And since he is underweight, instead of giving him food every 2 days like you would usually for a Cresty, I give him food every day, which has been causing me to go through his food a bit faster, but it's worth it for him. I have a little plant on the front door since I felt it was a little bit too bare in the front, and he was, oh, you got a hair on your mouth, little sweetie. And I felt it just wasn't enough coverage, and he wasn't eating from his food as much as I would hope for. I spray him down with this. I got the big one because I cannot be bothered to fill up a tiny spray bottle every time I need to. So I use this to spray down his enclosure. It holds 60 ounces, and that usually lasts me about a week with him. I, of course, use Reptisafe. It is a must. I used to have all my lizards on Fuji water, but like once he came around, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to be economic anymore. Gotta get you onto the good old Safe Tapped. You're not going to do any jumps today? He's getting better with handling. I got him in mid-December, like early mid-December. He was, of course, underweight, so I didn't try to handle him too much. That was a good catch. I didn't try to handle him too much, and he's still really not used to handling. He usually freaks the heck out when I put my hand in his enclosure. Like, I can just hear him flopping all over everything, just and he gets very easily spooked when he's out here. He'll eat out of the handle end of a spoon when I'm holding him, but sometimes he just gets spooked and like wants to bolt. He got under my dresser one day and I was about to cry because I'm like, oh my god, he's under my bed's a mess, it's gonna take me hours to find him. So that was a panic attack and a half. He really doesn't like being in clear containers, which is very concerning because if I ever have to move, well, I have to move in 2 months, so I'm very scared that it's going to be stressful, and I really prefer he not lose his tail. But Scott is a crested gecko here, and he is a Petco crested gecko. I was able to deduce this from the food he was, and from the Craigslist girl I got him from. He is about a year old, and baby care is a lot different than recovering care and normal care. Baby care, you technically do, it's recommended you keep them in a smaller enclosure, and you cannot handle them until I believe they're around 18 to 20 grams. I think some people say 16, but I personally, they're like the size of like the first joint of your thumb, so they're very, very tiny boys when they're first born. And so it's just not recommended that you handle them at that young of an age. And recovering crested gecko, of course, you want it to eat as much as you want. And with Pangea, you don't have to supplement their food. If you're going to give them puree, it's highly recommended that you mix in the calcium and multivitamins you would have for, say, a Leo, for a leopard gecko, and you would mix that in with the puree for them. But Pangea comes with that mixed in, and you can get Pangea with insects in it, but it is recommended that you still feed them live insects for extra nutritional value and for enrichment and stimulation. And these guys don't require a heat source, like I said. As long as your room is warm enough, you should be good. My room stays pretty warm, but it's winter time, it's South Dakota, we're in that wonderful snowy vortex in February, and it's probably not going to stop anytime soon, so it's good to have backup heat for them. I would get a ceramic heat emitter, but my parents have rules, and I need to follow them while I'm underneath the house, and also I am low on plugins. I need to go get another extension cord, and it's also because I have a fry tank right on top of this dresser that they are waiting for their permanent home, and so they take up about 3 plugins, so that's a thing I'm gonna have to deal with. But a normal crested gecko, all you really have to worry about is feeding them every 2 days, misting down their enclosure twice a day, and that's literally it, and cleaning out their poop once in a while. He was eating his poop when I first got him, just because he was not, like, digesting the stuff properly, and I can pull out a piece of his poop right now. Oh my god, come here. He pooped on his, hydrogenator, right in the center. The thing I do not like about these guys, since they're not, there's some good old Scott poop. Please get off my bed. The thing I don't like about crested geckos, I would have to say, is the fact that they don't choose a designated corner. They just kind of poop everywhere. Your hands, your container, just everywhere. So it is a bit harder when it comes to cleaning the enclosure, since they don't choose a corner to poop in. So that's one of the downsides. Upsides, no heating. You just have to mist twice a day and feed every 2 days. And you don't have to keep live bugs on hand. You can just like go down to your store and get them. As with my Leos, I do breed my own because it's more efficient and it's cost effective. And I would also say, in my opinion, their tanks are a lot more aesthetically pleasing since they are tall and they're very, very leafy and foresty and just give you those rain vibes, and they take up less space since they're taller, because my Leo tank's 4 feet long, his is only a foot long, and they're about the same size of animal. It's just tall things take up less space. And I would say cost-wise, I did spend a bit more on his decor, just because with my Leo tank I used rocks I stole off of government property. Shh, Pactola, like, don't tell, I'm out there stealing your slate. But that's the thing. Now, his special care, other than having to be fed every day instead of every other day, is I have to make sure he spoon feeds, and I needed to weigh him more regularly and do more health checks since he was in quarantine and stuff. And you really don't want to do that if you get a regular crested gecko and it's healthy when you get it. You do not want to touch it for the first week you have it. You want to just let it settle in, let it live its life, and when you get it out of quarantine, you also don't want to touch it for another week. Just let it settle in. He's been quite... It's very nerve-wracking also handling these guys since they can drop their tails. I'm constantly worried he'll do like a little wiggle when he's getting upset at me, like twitch the very tip of his tail, and it's very concerning for me because I don't want him to drop his tail. It's not a cosmetic thing, it's because he's so bad at climbing because of his malnutrition, and his poor diet took away from the fibers in his toes that help him stick, so he does really need his tail for that extra grip and ability to climb, since he's still learning to climb now since he was kept in a 10-gallon his whole life. And I quite often find him on the floor of his tank hiding underneath the log because he was used to being on the ground, and it took him a while to be even able to recognize that his food was up high because he was so used to his food being on a dish on the ground. So I had to hand feed him to make sure he was getting his nutrition. If he didn't realize where his bowl was, he's like, "Let me jump, must jump." And his coloring is very interesting because when I got him, I thought he was just going to be a buckskin, but at the base of his tail, you can see he's got a little bit of coloration there. Oh, he's doing a lick. Oh, he stopped doing a lick. And he's starting to get coloration in, and if your gecko is not on a proper diet, they will not retain the colors that they genetically have. So he's starting to get a little bit of coloration. I would say it's arguably harder to see when he is all fired up. Oh, you're just gonna stick to one finger there? That's not good for you. He does have Dalmatian spots, which I think is completely adorable. Dalmatian spot is actually my favorite color variation in the Crested Gecko line. And I love it because not only does he have black ones, but he has like a few little red ones. And I find that quite adorable. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to see the two little dots that are on his tail. If it focuses it, you'll be, yeah, there's one right there. Those are his little Dalmatian spots. And I just really like the spots on them. And I think they're very, very cute. He's got one on his head. He's not going to show it to you. I also really love their legs. But he's getting a little bit better at sticking, but he's not like fully there yet. He still very much has to use his claws on my skin. He is, oh, you flickering. He's not the most sticky boy because of his diet, and he's not the most colorful boy. And I don't know how much of his coloration he's going to get back because of not having a proper diet. Oh, you gonna show us that sticky foot? Oh yeah, he's got the grip. Ooh, do you like the camera, Scott? Keeping your eyes on it. Yeah. Not taking your eye off the camera. Do you recognize that there's another gecko there? And he's almost got a little bit of a green coloration, in my opinion, to him. Like, you can see the starts of stripes coming along his back. Those should be probably much more yellow than they are, but because of his malnutrition, they're not. And it was because he was being fed a grain-based product. If you are going to get one of these guys, you want to make sure that the main ingredients are all fruit. You don't want any, like, color additives. You don't want any wheat or grains or, like, rice and stuff like that. That should not be in there. They are not a herbivore. They are omnivorous, but they need fruit. And you want to, there is a list online of, you want to look at the highest calcium content in fruit and liquid content in fruit, and then the lowest acidity, and that's how you should decide on what kind of fruit you blend up if you are going to go the puree route. Do not feed them baby food. Baby food is for human babies, not for geckos. It's not good. We don't do that anymore. Like, it's not good. And also, if you say you are in a survival situation where your gecko has passed away and you still have, like, say it's the apocalypse, you can eat crested gecko food. It is 100% safe. It smells good. I'm tempted to do a video on where I taste test them and describe them, but I'm gonna wait until I get more and he's off his daily meals. Baby crested gecko, you're obviously going to offer them smaller amounts of food. You need to make sure they can get the food, hence the smaller enclosure. There's a little bit of debate on that, whether you need a smaller enclosure, because it's like, well, in the wild, they don't have a smaller enclosure, and my argument against a smaller enclosure is the possibility of stunting growth. Because if you keep something in a smaller enclosure and it's too small, it will stunt their growth. So, but I don't know, there's not a lot of research. Another cool fact about these guys is they are endangered in the wild. So the captive bred population, the captive bred the captive bred population of these guys is really important since they are endangered in New Caledonia, and they were thought to be extinct in the until the 90s when they were rediscovered. And I feel that the captive population is very important, and these are one of the pets I do support the breeding of, just because they are endangered in the wild. And we don't even have a albino morph of these guys, just because there's such a small amount of genetics to pick from in captivity, and you don't want to go grabbing wild-caught animals because of parasites and issues like that, and because you can't. They're an endangered animal. You do not want to be harming the endangered populace just so you can get an albino genetic out of it. I know you like the bed. Look at that cute little face. Also, I can't show on... Please don't turn off the video.